Over the last couple of years, I've met one of the next two speakers several times. Maddy Halliday is the director of the Stroke Association in Scotland. And she'll be coming on stage shortly with Eric Knowles. Eric is an antiques expert that I'm sure you'll recognise as soon as he's here, whose main interest is in ceramics. He first became famous after being the ceramics expert on the Antiques Roadshow. He's since appeared in many antiques-related programs, but his TV CV includes things like Noel's House Party and Call My Bluff. He's also a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts and is an ambassador for the Prince's Trust, and he's associated with several charities. Last Monday, Sheila and I were at the 100 charter dinner of the Brighton Rotary Club, and Mark Stacey, another antiques expert you'll see on television. And I thought this is the opportunity to get the real story to tell you that Eric would never want it to be shared. But clearly, there was a camaraderie between antiques experts, and he said nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Maddy and Eric.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, I love you, so responsive, and it's just important that I bond with you all as quickly as possible. It really is. And I'm already feeling love and affection coming towards me. A certain amount of embrocation, but it goes with the territory. But ladies and gentlemen, if we've never met before, it's very important that I get a response. If we've never met before, you've never seen me in the flesh, raise your right hand now. Just raise your right hand if we... Right, that's... Oh, God, I feel like Peter Kay up here. It's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, to all you people who raise your right hand, could I offer you a heartfelt apology for being so much shorter in real life than you may give it credit for? But you see, ladies and gentlemen, I've had a hard life. It were harder than that. I've had a hard life. You see, I live this life of mistaken identity. No, it's true, honestly. I mean, for years and years and years, you know, people would stop you in the street and say things like, "Are we going to have any more hurricanes?" Michael Fish, isn't it? That upset me. And just to give you a couple of examples, I am doing my day job. I used to work for a London auction house. I now work for a firm in the sticks called Druittson. But either way, I'm there doing my job, doing a valuation event at Southport Flower Show. Now, people are bringing me bits and bobs, and I've looked at a pair of candlesticks, brass ones. I've looked at a Victorian clock, and there's a lovely creamware plate. And the chap arrived in front of me, and this is all true, and he put in front of me a heavy plastic bag. It was a Morrison's shopping bag. Okay, could have been Tesco's, could have been Sainsbury's, it could have been, you know, I've been to see so many BBC compliance meetings, I've got to throw in everybody else, you know. And I looked at him. He was a man of advanced age, and he said to me, "Now then," because people up north say that, don't they? Even when I ring up my dad, "Now then, what have you been up to?" You know, for years I thought now then was my Christian name, you know what I mean? And anyway, he said, "Now then," he said, "I've seen you on television many a time." I said, "Oh, have you?" "Oh, yes," he said, I've been watching your career," and he said, "Have a look in there." So I looked inside this plastic bag, and it was full of soil. I said, "Yes." He said, "I need your advice." He said, "I can't get begonias to grow in this stuff." I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Todmorden." I thought, that makes sense, you know. If it wasn't for Yorkshire, Todmorden would be a lovely little seaside village. You know, I'll tell you that now. So anyway, I'd been watching Jeff Hamilton the night before talking about getting nitrogen into your tomatoes and using sulphate of potash. So I said to this bloke, I said, "Well, you're up there on near the Bronte Moors, and it must be very acidic, the soil, with the peat, and I said, your pH must be off the scale." You know, I hadn't got a clue what pH was, but you know, it worked. "Oh, I know you'd know. I said, have you tried sulphate of potash? What? Something as simple. I said, have you tried it? He said, no. I said, try it and come back next year. Tell me how you've got on. He said, I know I could trust you, Mr. Titchmarsh, every time. You know. And he honestly believes he's met Alan Titchmarsh. Embarrassing situations. My wife and I, we're in a supermarket in Amersham, in Buckinghamshire. Yeah. Oh, you're there. Are you there? You see, I started off at the Fred Dimner School of Elocution, and then I went on to the Russell Harty Finishing School for Hopeless Cases, and here I am in Harrogate. And Harrogate used to be part of a massive boulder that rolled its way down from the North Pole, and it broke off here, and the other bit ended up by the side of the Thames, and it's a place called Chelsea. So think about that one on the way home, won't you? Anyway, we're in Tesco's, and we're in the queue, and there's a few trolleys, and the checkout lady went like this, and I went like that. My wife said to me, who's that? I said, I don't know, no idea. And we got a bit nearer, and she waved again, and my wife said, you do know her? I said, no, I've never met her before in my life. And we got there, and when we got to the checkout, this lady said something to me that you all hate. Do you know what she said? She said, you don't remember me, do you? and then she compounded it by saying, well, in your business, you must meet so many people, you know. And then she leant over to the lady on the next checkout and said, this is the doctor that did my hysterectomy. It's all true. It's all true. Anyway, have I got an image up there? If I press this, do I get an image? Oh, there it is. There. And now, to the benefit of some Yorkshire people, because I know there's no without a Yorkshire going to see, that's Lancashire. Hey, where are we? Hey up. Hey up. Hey up. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, and I hail from the shadow of Pendle Hill. It's an infuriating 1,820 odd feet high, so it's 180 feet short of Mount Pendle. And the view on the top on a good day is fabulous. You know, Three Peaks, Malham Cove, and then the Lakeland Fells, Blackpool Tower, and I don't want to be morbid, but my boys know, because we didn't get children, we got boys. My boys know that when I pop my clogs, I want my ashes spread on the top of Pendle Hill. Now, I got to thinking that if everybody else followed my example and had their ashes... Well, it's a thought, isn't it? Because my dad's taught me to think lateral, you know. And then I thought to myself, no, don't be stupid. I'll be at the bottom and I'll have lost my view. So I've given up on that one. And either way, the thing about Pendle Hill is that in 1612 it was the talk of the nation, because, you know, the locals were rounded up in the charge of witchcraft. And the long and short of that was that virtually everybody died apart from one woman who was acquitted. And I know that for an absolute fact, because in 1968 that woman taught me maths. So just introduce a few characters. You know, it's oh, you're counting me down. Oh, I see, I've got this thing here, I'm thinking I'm doing well, and we've got 25 minutes between us, haven't we? Okay, I can feel it, okay. But either way, that is, you can see that's Arthur Negus, and that's the lovely Angela Rippon, and those are gritted teeth. I'm not going to say any more. If I wanted to put a private eye balloon out of Arthur's mouth, it would be, brace yourself, Angela, and then coming out of Angela's mouth would be, in your dreams, Arthur. Confused? Yes, we are. Just to let you know, yes. I've been a test pilot for Oil of Olay. So, yes, and for the benefit of people from Yorkshire, because I've got friends in Yorkshire. Are you there, Barnsley? I've got a friend. Actually, I've got a friend in Keighley. Oh, that's all right. Day release. My friend Julie, and it's true, isn't it? She's a medium, and I don't know whether to go in for all that sort of stuff, but she tells me she can always tell somebody from the other side that was originally born in Yorkshire, because they always reverse the charge. So anyway, and of course, when we're doing the road show, I'm on the miscellaneous or the ceramics table. When we're in Yorkshire, we have a sign that says crockery, and And we have another one for miscellaneous that says hotels. So there you go. That's Henry Sandon. He's a cheeky monkey. He tells everybody that I'm his probation officer. I retaliate whenever I can. But there he's wearing his sympathetic smile because the lady's broken something and he's about to say, well, look on the bright side, dear. You came in with one object, you're going home with 14. So, moving on. I used to write for a ladies' magazine. I used to write for a magazine called Woman's Weekly. No, I was headhunted. Because Woman's Realm wanted me as well. So, ladies, I had to go out and look at a copy. I wanted to be with the best mag. So I went with Woman's Weekly because I found the knitting patterns easier to understand. So that's why I went with that one. Bit rich for some, that, wasn't it? Anyway, either way, the blokes are pretending they've never tried to read them and understand them. But either way, I sold that perfume bottle for £7,500. And I wrote an article in Woman's Weekly about perfume bottles, and I showed that. Next thing you know, I get a phone call. Hello, is your name Eric Knowles? Yes. I'll have to be very quick. My name is Mrs. Clark. I'm phoning you a long distance. From Manchester. Yes, Mrs. Clark. Well, I've been reading in Woman's Weekly, and there's a perfume bottle in there by René Lalique, made £7,500. Is that right? I said, is it Bouchon Cassis? That's the one. She said, well, I've got one, but mine's a bit different. I said, why? She said, mine's actually got a blue stopper, and mine's perfect. She said, do you think you'll get £7,500 for mine? I said, I think we might. She said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll post it to you this afternoon. No, don't do that. Oh, I'm always down the post office. Anyway, this is costing me a fortune. Bye. Anyway, sorry about that. Go back. We're not ready for you. Either way, what arrived on my desk but 2 days later, but a brown paper package tied up with string, something me and Julie Andrews both love. Yeah, tell him on the way home. Okay. Shake, rattle, rattle. And I opened it with trepidation, and rolling around at the bottom is the base, and there's the stopper in 2 pages of the Manchester Evening News, and it was perfect. And we put it up for sale. This is a long time ago, and there was a huge interest from the Japanese when it came to early Lalique bottles. So we agreed on the price, and I remember going into the sale room. And all the Japanese, I knew all the Japanese, they're all friendly, they always wanted to sit in the front. For some reason, they always want to sit in the front. So that's great, that's fine, that's all right. I was mindful of our honoured guest, so let's not say that. But there's a man with a sense of humour, anyway. So I'm working with a girl from Ballymena, and we went into the room. There's 500 people there, and as Fiona said, "What's that smell, Fiona?" She said, "Eric, that smell. That's money. That's what you're smelling in here tonight. That's money." So we start the auction, we get to this lot, and the bidding goes like this, and this is how it goes. Bid me 7,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000, 15,000, 15,000, lady at the back, 15,000, 16,000, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, can I say 24, 24, 26, 28, 28, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40 at the very front. 40 at the very front. Sold for £40,000. Mrs. Clark, hello, this is Eric Knowles. I have to be very quick. I'm phoning you a long distance from London. Yes, did sell £40,000. No, not 14, 40. 40,000, that's right. Yes, yep. Mrs. Clark? Hello? Oh, hello, Mr. Clark. No, tell her I'm not acting daft. I'm not acting daft, honestly. Pardon? Put her on. Yes, Mrs. Clark. Yes, it was a Japanese buyer. Yes, we've got his name and address. Yes, we've got that. Pardon? Yeah, well, I will. I'll confirm it by letter tomorrow morning because it's 10 o'clock down here in London. I haven't got a clue what time it is in Manchester. But anyway, pardon? Mrs. Clark, that's very kind of you. Given a choice, can it be vintage Bollinger? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm still waiting for that bottle of vintage Bollinger. And then my final. You're still with me, aren't you, Sue? Still with me. My final image is I want to take you to Colne. I mean, where are you, Colne? You recognise it. There you are. Well, I'm from Nelson. Nelson is the stockbroker belt of Colne. Okay. And that, you've seen that street before, because you've seen a little lad go down it on a bike. You were great baker with me, father. And that's Exchange Street. I'll give you another view of it, because it used to be cobbled all the way. My Auntie Gladys used to live around the corner. Now, at the top of there, you would find, on the left, that vehicle is actually a hearse, because that's Helliwell's funeral parlour. And I hope you don't mind me talking about death very briefly, because I used to sit next to Stuart Helliwell at school, and he were not a bundle of laughs. There's no point getting too excited about life, Eric, because my dad knows better than anybody else that nobody gets out of life alive. Funny enough, I bumped into him in the street about 20 years ago, and they were full of smiles. In fact, it was longer than 20, 30 years ago. And I said, well, you look happy, Stuart. He said, oh, hey, I passed my driving test last week. He said, it's fantastic. I've taken my grandma on 3 practice runs to crematorium. It's wonderful, isn't it? So anyway, in 1947, because my dad told me, in 1947, there was a terrible winter. And let me just say, that is a very, very steep gradient. Now, let me explain the topography, okay? In other words, down here is Waterside, and here's a row of shops. There's Redmond's the butcher's, Oddie's the baker's, there's the Co-op, and there's Boots the chemist. Okay, basically, in 1947, they couldn't get the hearse into Exchange Street, so they had to go down one, do a left on Chapel Street, on the back street, which my Auntie Gladys had cindered herself, and then they got the hearse facing up the hill. Now, what happened was, they had an apprentice with them, and he had not actually, he'd not fathomed how to deal with the hearse, because the hearse had an occupant in it. And what happened was, and I should point out the gradient on this place is amazing. Because my dad told me that Sir Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing practiced here. No, you could tell all the kids from Waterside in the winter, they had crampons and their clogs, And anyway, so this apprentice opened the back of the hearse, and he'd not put the lock on the coffin. And the coffin came straight for him, knocked him out cold. And it started coming down it's sheet ice. I mean, this place is ready for Eddie the Eagle to come down any minute, It's coming down. The coffin gets up to 30, 40 miles an hour. It's coming down. And the kids are screaming, the dogs are barking. And the coffin gets down to about this level, and it's doing 70 miles an hour. It goes straight through Boots the chemist plate glass window. The coffin shot to the end, went bolt upright against the counter. The lid came off. And a bloke inside said, I knew Boots would have something to stop me coughing. So there you go. Don't patronise me. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, Rotarians, may I close by encouraging you all to continue the great work that you do for the Stroke Association. It's an amazing cause which, as you know, benefits millions of people. And finally, on behalf of all the people of Great Britain and Ireland who have suffered with a stroke, can I say a heartfelt thank you for all you've done and all that I hope you will continue to do to prevent strokes and save lives in future. I might need you when I get my heating bill. So, either way, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Maddy Halliday, Director Scotland of the Stroke Association. Thank you.
Oh, that was wonderful. I know Eric was an expert in antiques and art, but I didn't realise he was such a fantastic comedian. That was wonderful. So, I haven't laughed so much in ages, and laughing is really good for your health. But good morning, Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen. And I just thank you, Eric. That was so enjoyable. And also thank you, President John, and also Conference Chair David, for inviting me to speak to you today about stroke, and also about the work of the Stroke Association and our links with Rotary in Britain and Ireland. I'm really pleased to be here, and I know we've had a really good and healthy laugh and enjoyed Eric a lot, and I'm going to be turning to something a little bit more serious now, and I hope you'll stick with me. Oops, I've done the same thing. I've gone back to soon. First of all, I want to say something about stroke. 1 in 6 of us will have a stroke at some point in our lives. That means that most people in this room will have been touched by stroke in some way, or at some point in your life you will be. Your partner, a friend, a neighbour, a colleague, or perhaps yourself will have had a stroke. Stroke is a major global health challenge, and I know that Rotarians are very committed to supporting a whole range of health challenges, and stroke is one of them. So every 5 minutes, somebody in the UK has a stroke. And perhaps you didn't know, but stroke is the leading cause of disability in the UK. In fact, 150,000 people had a stroke in 2012, and that's quite a big number. And just to give you a bit of a feel for what that means, in the 3 days that you've been at this conference, 1,000 people will have had a stroke. And it's also the leading cause of adult disability in the UK. And perhaps you didn't know, the second greatest killer in the world. So this is, as I said earlier, a big challenge for us all. And strokes happen to most people as we get older. I'm sorry to say that. But it can happen at any age. Actually, 25% of strokes happen to people under the age of 65. Babies and children can have strokes. Young adults can have strokes. People like you and I can have strokes. And a stroke can be devastating. I mentioned just in my previous slide that it's the major cause of adult disability. People who have a stroke, some recover really well, and I've met Rotarians here at this conference who have had stroke, and I'm so pleased that they've recovered well. But we also work with stroke survivors who sadly don't recover so well and have to live with challenges such as difficulty walking, difficulty talking. They may have lost some of their vision. They may actually have difficulty thinking, and in fact we recently lost Margaret Thatcher, who had dementia as a result of multiple mini strokes. So stroke is a devastating condition for many people. The young boy in this picture, Sam, he had a stroke when he was 4 at school. Fortunately, his teacher had seen the face, arm and speech message where if you see those symptoms of drooping face or speech difficulty or difficulties in moving arm, you know it could be a stroke and you must dial 999. She knew this and she saved his life. Sam has recovered well. Younger people tend to recover better from stroke, particularly children. But the experience was traumatic, and he and his family needed a lot of support and care to recover. So that's why we're for Life After Stroke, because we know that everybody should get prompt, effective treatment to maximise their chance of surviving a stroke in the first place. I think we would all want that if we had a stroke. And then to get the support that we need to achieve the best quality of life, the best recovery after a stroke. But the Stroke Association, sorry, actually I've just jumped on again, I apologise. Just to say a little bit more about the support that we provide. The Stroke Association talks about life after stroke, but we're passionate and committed, and we try and help deliver that for as many people as possible. And there's 1 million people in the UK who have survived a stroke. Just imagine 1 million people. So with our staff and our volunteers, we do what we can, and some of our volunteers are Rotarians, so thank you very much. We provide information and advice through our website, through our helpline, through printed materials, through community advice and support staff and volunteers. We provide welfare grants to stroke survivors experiencing financial hardship and who need help to buy a wheelchair or daily living aids. And we also provide support in the community, often support led by volunteers. Befriending stroke clubs. These are really important. But that's not all that we do. We do more. We also fund research, vital research, to identify ways to prevent stroke and to help people recover. And I just want to give you one example of research we funded. You may have all heard of something called mini-strokes, transient ischemic attacks. Well, we funded research that showed that a mini-stroke was as much an emergency as a major stroke, and that you have to get immediate assessment and support. And because the NHS has now changed the way it responds to mini-stroke as a result of our research, up to 10,000 strokes a year are prevented. A great result. I could tell you more, I don't have time. But we also campaign across the UK with all the governments in the UK, using our research findings to campaign for improvements in stroke treatment and care. Now, I just want to finish my presentation by going to another part of our work, which is just as vital as our life after stroke work, which is our preventing stroke work. And we have been running a fantastic public awareness campaign with Rotarians for 10 years, our Know Your Blood Pressure campaign. Because high blood pressure is the major preventable cause of stroke. 40% of all strokes are related to high blood pressure, and high blood pressure can mostly be prevented or treated to reduce people's risk of having a stroke. And since 2004, we have taken, with Rotarians and with other supporters, over 200,000 blood pressure measurements in community settings. 25,000 of those people had high blood pressure and referred for medical attention, and 6,500 had dangerously high blood pressure and were referred for urgent treatment. I am so proud that working with you, we have potentially saved many, many lives and prevented strokes. What an achievement. And I really hope that we can continue to work together on this fantastic campaign in the years ahead. But you may also want to consider helping us with our life after stroke work as well. Prevention is fantastic and important, but I think, as I said earlier, that helping people who've had a stroke, who haven't been able to prevent, we haven't been able to help them prevent a stroke, we need to help them too. And perhaps you might want to consider doing more volunteering in your local community with a local life after stroke service or club. You might want to help us raise sums for our welfare grants so that we can increase the amount of money that we give to people. And also you might want to consider organising a community Step Out for Stroke event, where it's a walking event which involves stroke survivors, many of whom are in wheelchairs or need mobility aids, to show that there is life after stroke, to raise awareness of stroke and to help raise funds for our vital work. So I want to conclude by saying thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you can continue to support our ambition for a world where there are fewer people who have a stroke, and all those who do have a stroke get the help they need. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Thank you. Thank you both for a fascinating insight into Lancashire life. I happen to have a Lancashire wife, so I'm on your side, because she's in the audience. And thank you, Maddy, for what you told us. And Mark did tell me something to say. It was Knocker Knowles, he said. Is that okay?
Yes, Knocker Knowles. I work on a programme called Who Do You Think You Are?
Okay.
And if you just want to know very briefly why I'm called Knocker, it's all to do with Andy Capp, okay? He has a tall mate. What's he called? Knocker Knowles. Okay. Just so you know. There you go.
Thanks very much. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.